Mike, did they talk about microtransactions or post-launch like monetization at all?
Yeah, it seemed like there was a lot of free updates that would be coming from characters to maps. It seems like the microtransactions really were the cosmetics that you would be buying in the game to make different character outfits, but there was nothing of, hey, you're going to buy this expansion pass for map X, Y, and Z for characters A, B, and C. You know what I mean? It was very much, hey, we're just giving you free updates to try to keep this exciting and keep the microtransactions to a minimum.
Yeah, I'm so
I
fascinated by
mean,
the $40.
yeah, with that $40 price tag, I think that's what puts it in a different realm than these free to play games that we see that are very microtransaction heavy
Sure.
because it is a full price game that's coming out with a full content slate. And so I think they're just, you get your money from that, which is your hope, right, Greg? And then you get the added stuff of those $5 cosmetics or whatever they may be later on down the road. But that $40 price tag is what the goal is here. And also day one on PC, we got to remember that, right? The PC audience is willing to always try a new first person shooter. We see this all the time. And so will they attach onto this one? That's the goal here.
And that's like mainly why I'm not on the side of like, thinking that this is going to be a failure like off the bat, right? Like, of course, maybe it gets there, maybe we're completely wrong. It is fucking tanks and nobody's actually playing this thing, but it sounds and looks good enough in that $40. Like, if this is a $70 game that they were trying to push in this way, I'd be like, oh, fucking dead on arrival. Ain't no way that this is gonna like do what it needs to do for $70. I feel like for $40 and for it, from what it sounds from what Mike is saying, right? Like fully featured, it has all the maps, it has all the characters, it has all the stuff that you want. And yeah, coming out on PC as well as PS5, like I am looking at this probably selling a couple million, right? And like for again a new game from a new IP from a new studio that is like part of this initiative of like the initial wave of live service stuff that PlayStation's trying to figure out. If they're able to do this and have like have half the success of a Helldivers 2 or have a quarter of the success of a Helldivers 2, or maybe get lucky and have the success of a Helldivers 2, right? Like I think this could bode well as far as what at least the start of the PlayStation live service like pushes.
I could totally see it happening though, free to play after a couple months, or like I could totally see both outcomes here. Like,
all outcomes are on the table.
Yeah. I think free to play is
on
like
sale immediately, $20 sort of thing,
Free to play, I think, is definitely like the emergency button for, oh, this is not doing like nearly what we wanted to do. Let's go free to play and like see what we can do.
Or a free weekend sort of thing. A lot of different franchises try to do that, to be like, hey, this weekend you could just play for free. Don't even worry about it. Download it. You have access all weekend. Get in here. We want you to kind of stay in this ecosystem.
We'll wait and see, I guess. Just a couple more to wrap up the show here. I like CJ's question here. Outside of the story, how does the game feel unique, Mikey?
It's that mix of Destiny with the floatiness and the gunplay with that hero-based arena shooter that you love from Overwatch. That's how it feels unique, and it feels good. It is fun to play once you get the flow and the rhythm going. It is cool to jump characters between every death or every round and try someone new and find that person that you like. And so that's what makes it unique. Is it's just a hero-based team arena that we haven't had in quite some time, or maybe you've been playing Destiny and you love your Hunter, Warlock, or Titan, but you want more moves and all that jazz. Or maybe you want to have Overwatch once again with some heroes that you fall in love with. That's what makes it unique.
Oh, one question I had was, do they allow duplicates?
Yeah, so there's this really interesting system, Andy, that they only spoke about briefly but didn't show us. And so there are no duplicates in the game besides other teams, right? So we can't have a 5 stack, but they have variants of each character. And they also have, I want to call it a deck building system, but really it's not card based or anything. It's what you bring into the game. And so it's an interesting one of, you're not going to be able to choose from all 16 characters every match. You're actually going to build out a squad of, let's call it 10 of the characters that you love, which could also be the same character made in variant form that has different unique characteristics of that build, we'll call it. And then you can choose from them. So they'll never let you go in with just 10 of the same one-off characters, right? Like you'll always have to mix it up enough to where you can complement the team and never be stuck not being able to select a character because I chose your character or you've chosen it too many times. And so there is no duplicates. It will always be a unique 5, but you will have your own kind of list that you bring in that you can choose from that you like. So you don't have to choose from all 16. It might be, oh, Mike gravitates towards the bazooka lady. So I've built 3 different builds of her, and I really like one off. So I built 2 of him. And then I like this other character. So I built X amount of them. And so that was a really interesting system that we didn't dive deep into. They really didn't talk about the variance and what that looks like. It was definitely like, hey, they're going to be able to do a little bit different stuff. It's not like you create a brand new character off of this, but they will be a little bit different than each build that you have, which was interesting.
One I want to get from the super chats here, and actually, I'm like, you're free to answer, but I'd like to answer my own way too.
Yeah.
Matt does say, do you get the impression from the devs that they wanted to make a narrative game and were told to go live service, or was always their plan? Before, Mike, you come in with firsthand knowledge of playing the game, I would throw that out the window to begin with, right? The studio's founded in 2018. There's a publishing partnership in 2021 for a multiplayer game with PlayStation. Then in 2023, they buy it. And even when you go, looked at, you Google it, you get their LinkedIn. Formed in 2018, Firewalk is led by seasoned developers who know and love multiplayer games. Like, I don't think this is a case of PlayStation buying a studio or forcing somebody along the line. Am I wrong, Mikey? Did you get that impression from hearing from them?
No, they were very passionate and very forward about this is the game that we wanted to make. There was even a question of, well, why didn't you just build a single player narrative driven game that with all these characters and just make it like that? And they said, no, this is the game that we wanted. This is the story we wanted to tell. We wanted to blend these 2 things. And so they were very firm on that, which I was impressed with, because just like when that question was asked, I would have asked the same question of, hey, it seems like, is Sony pushing this? Did you really want this? Why didn't you just make a Destiny-like experience where it is a campaign from A to B zones and we play as these different characters? But no, they want this. This is their thing.
A nuts and bolts question I like from Dean here is, how is switching heroes done? Is there a penalty?
No penalty. You can switch it after your deaths. Very similar to Overwatch, where when you die, you'll have that moment of you can take 3 extra seconds or 5 to select a character if you want. There was no penalty at all switching characters between rounds, deaths, or games.
Is there a play of the game, and like, do they show stats at when the game is done? Like, how does the end of the game
stats? No play of the game. It definitely feels like when we talk about microtransactions, right? It's very much of like, you'll have your character intros when we all jump out the ship and we give the thumbs up and stuff like that. There's player cards that you will earn. They have dailies, weeklies, monthlies, these legacy challenges, right? That will earn you in-game credit to either unlock like the player info card, which we've seen in many games where it's like Snowbike Mike with the cool background, and I have 3 of my stats of damage done, eliminations, and whatever. They have a lot of that. And so yeah, those were the things I saw. Bless. I did not see a play of the game where I got to see a highlight. There was none of that.
And then the final question, a summation maybe.
Yes.
Hit by a parked car asks, is Mike more excited for Concord or Marvel Heroes?
Rivals?
Rivals. You're right. Sorry.
It's a great
Marvel
question.
Heroes on the base. I mean, we'd all be excited if Marvel Heroes was coming back. Am I right?
From what I
mean,
was able to play out of the 2 betas, I am more excited for Concord because of the multiple game modes. Marvel Rivals, when we played it, only had the push the payload at the time. And so it did feel very much like Overwatch, and I just am a little burnt out on payload, but I know that will give you more and be different. This one, I really liked what I got to see. I enjoyed it a lot, and I wanted to play more. Both were very good, but the biggest compliment I can give to this game, like I gave at the top of the show, was I left that demo wanting to play more that day and wanting to play more that weekend. And so that is a positive sight for me looking at this game in the future.
Yeah, Marvel Rivals obviously isn't like it seems a lot more like Overwatch in that you're going to have characters that aren't shooting projectiles. Like we just saw the Venom gameplay there where it reminds you of the way Reinhardt plays in Overwatch with the big shield and you're swinging a hammer, like, and there's not you with a weapon shooting a projectile at the enemy, whether it's like everything that I saw in Concord so far was crossbow shooting projectiles with little explosives, rocket launchers, ARs or whatever. And a lot of Marvel Rivals, like I think they start you off with in that beta with Punisher, who has the guns to kind of familiarize yourself. It's like when everybody asks, Andy, I'm playing Overwatch for the first time. Who's an easy character to learn first? It's like Soldier 76. He's like Call of Duty. He's like Halo. You just have an AR. But then that's where you branch out into suddenly this person's not even shooting projectiles. They're just like a big melee brawler or whatever, and it seems like Concord's leaning more towards like this is a shooter first and foremost.
Yeah, every single character has a gun, unlike Marvel Rivals where there is melee. Every single character has a gun here, and it feels more Team Arena based because of the game modes that we've seen thus far. But you know, Marvel Rivals will have other game modes once it fully releases.
I will say this is the most excited I've been about multiplayer, like competitive multiplayer games, I think in a very long time, right? Where like again yesterday in our Nintendo World Championship NES preview, we ended up with a conversation about like the top 10 shooters or whatever. And like I looked at the list and it's like, you know, Valorant, Escape from Tarkov, Rainbow Six Siege, and a lot of Fortnite, and a lot of games that have been like mainstays for a very long time, and a lot of them just happen to not be my cup of tea. But when I look down the barrel of games that are coming out this year and next year, right, between Valorant coming to console and Concord and what we just got Fragpunk alpha codes, I'm excited to check out, and then also Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has me excited again for a Call of Duty, and then Marvel Rivals coming out next year. Like I'm like, dude, I'm very excited and like looking forward to playing all of these games, and so I think we're just in a good place when it comes to competitive shooters.